Ludo no? Masked Ruby is a crystal. Crystals are used in puzzles in the world of It'll Do, and aren't a reference to the Sims' diamond-like cursor. Crystals are often seen asleep, but are whacked awake by the player, and sometimes through other creative means. When all the crystals activate, they typically open a gate, but the crystals themselves go inert. Whether they're dead or not is still debated to this day. Masked Ruby's first appearance was in the original It'll Do. To face him, the player must first purchase the fire sword from Iton and get catapulted to the Toasty Caves. There, the player must solve some fresh, hot puzzles using the newly acquired weapon to reach the final room. Masked Ruby greets the player with a message that consists of both French and Swedish language. He states, "Ah, miss, it's time to confuse the translators." To provide some context to this line, back when It'll Do was released in 2013, trying to translate the entire message at once would have confused Google's auto-translate, giving the Googler a mess of a translation. Upon defeat, he shatters into a million tiny pieces before being stepped on by It'll's bare feet. The last part is totally canon, you can't prove otherwise. Although he isn't shown, Masked Ruby is referenced in It'll Do 2. A horned crystal by the name of Le Biadlo wishes to get revenge on It'll for shattering Ruby, and then states that it took weeks to glue them together. And that explains my joke at the end of my Remedy recovery video in case you saw it and didn't know the context. Shh. He appears again in Card City Nights as Delinquent. He is found in The Cave, wielding a legendary card. He first pits the player up against a magical fox, before finally facing the player himself. It's heavily implied that he cheats by his barmates, but his deck is actually nothing out of the ordinary. Upon winning, Delinquent finally admits defeat before rewarding the player with the legendary card. He can be rechallenged after beating the story, and he wields an enhanced deck. Masked Ruby also makes an appearance on a rare defense card that can damage the opponent if used in a proper defense combo. A particular opponent that does cheat can be seen exploiting his card by breaking the rules and having multiple copies of a rare card, which is typically illegal. This allows them to do amazing damage while gaining life at the same time. Masked Ruby also appears on a card in Card City Nights 2. He doesn't show up as an NPC, but he does show up on a card where he can give the player shield and deal 1 damage. Ruby's alts have their own appearances in Ludo games. The green crystal with the visor also makes appearances. He is simply an avatar that the player can select for their portrait when playing both Card City Nights 1 and 2. Magic Crystal is a random NPC that the player can encounter in It'll Do 2. He states that he's magical, baby, and if the player destroys everything in his home, his dialogue changes, stating that he'll put an evil curse on you. Ooh. He makes a cameo in Card City Nights 2 as well, giving the player a mana token when resolved. And as a final bit of an Easter egg, Ludo know that Ruby was technically the first playable character on Slap? He can be seen on Ludosity's Tumblrs, where they plan on having a small Smash minigame in It'll Do 2, before scrapping the idea due to too many kinks needing to be worked out. Elias, the residential crab of the Discord, saw this idea and decided to merge it with the game engine that he was working on. This idea would eventually become Slap City. And that's it for this video. Which character would you like to see next? Please let me know in the comments below, and if you want more silly content, be sure to like and subscribe? Is that how YouTubers end their videos?